This is the city of Galle. Galle is a port city located on the southern coast of Sri Lanka. It is known for its beautiful views and is a popular tourist spot, but it also demonstrates the colonial influence on the country. According to the Lakpura travel website, the name Galle comes from Sinhalese word Gala, meaning rock. Galle was the capital before Colombo. The city has two areas, according to Gavin Thomas in his The Rough Guide to Sri Lanka. There is the Old Town, where the fort is located, and then the New Town, which is the commercial center. Galle is also a UNESCO heritage site due to its many colonial influences.
Galle was colonized in 1587 by the Portuguese, according to Lakpura. The Portuguese quickly took over the spice trade and began to build defenses of the port, with one wall and a moat. However, this was nothing compared to the fortress the Dutch would build when they took control of the fort.
The Dutch had a large cultural influence on Galle. They laid siege to and captured Galle Fort in 1640, according to the Lakpura travel website. They also reinforced the walls and added bastions. This fortress still stands today, a pillar of colonial conquest. Galle was controlled by the Dutch East India Company, and many references to the city can be found in the company's audits. Not only did the Dutch influence the fort itself, they also left quite a bit of influence on the rest of the city. This influence came vastly in the form of architecture. One example of this, given by Culture Trip's article, A Tour of Dutch Colonial Architecture in Sri Lanka, is a large warehouse. This warehouse, built into the fort ramparts, later became the Maritime Archaeological Museum. This museum, according to its website, now features aspects of the southern coastal area such as watercraft and traditions of fishing communities. The Dutch also left a reformed church, as described by the Culture Trip's article. According to Colombo Page, one of Sri Lanka's internet newsletters, an old Dutch hospital was turned into a shopping complex. As you can see, the Dutch influence on the city remains to this day.
The Dutch gave Galle to the British as part of a 1796 treaty signed in Colombo, according to Sinani Ponnamperuma, a notable Sri Lankan author. Lakpura adds that the British carved their crest on the outside of the main gate, as well as two decorative stones which tell the story of the conquest of Galle. In this way, foreign powers forever marked the city of Galle as being touched by the influence of colonialism. Ponnamperuma explains that by 1884, the British had moved most of their trade to Colombo, marking the beginning of the decline of Galle's importance. Although during this time there was little money to maintain the old buildings, there also wasn't funding to develop new ones, so most of the Dutch architecture is still in place and has since been repaired. Ponnamperuma notes that although Galle is still a trading center, its primary importance in post-colonial Sri Lanka is as a tourist site. Much of the original architecture still stands, but has been transformed from a military holding into hotels, coffee shops, and malls.
We stumbled across a couple of interesting facts about modern-day Galle when doing our research. There were several articles about health studies that were conducted in Galle. One such study was on insulin in type 2 diabetes patients. Additionally, we found an article detailing the excavation of a Dutch East Indiaman ship, the Avonster. According to this article by Robert Parthesius, Karen Miller, and Bill Jeffrey, the Avonster was a British ship that the Dutch captured and used for their own trading purposes, before it was wrecked in the Bay of Galle. This turns out to be just one more example of colonial influence on the city.
Overall, Galle is important because it demonstrates the lingering effects of colonialism. However, as Sri Lankans renovate colonial buildings to suit their current economic needs, Galle also demonstrates the post-colonial power of transformation. In this way, outside influence combines with the heart of Sri Lanka to create a city that is both touched by colonialism, yet demonstrates its own cultural resistance.